Welcome, everybody, to another edition of the Winner's Circle Sports Betting Podcast. My name is Ross Benjamin of rbwins.com. Special edition today as I'm joined by Mr. Jesse Schul and Sean Higgs, two of the finest handicappers in the country today. We're going to be talking college basketball today. We got 3 games on tap. Jesse will be covering the most underrated game of the night, in my opinion, which is New Mexico at Utah State. Sean Higgs will be taking a look at Tennessee and Florida, interested what he has to say in regards to that game. Tennessee just looks absolutely phenomenal right now, but could they go on the road and cover? Is the game going to go over and under? We'll hear from Sean on that. And I'm going to look at Providence and Xavier, a Big East battle. So 3 good games on tap, but without further ado, let me introduce these gentlemen one by one. Jesse, how are you, my friend?
Doing good, Ross. Another NBA winner last night, but I should keep my mouth shut about that. Otherwise, run the risk of hearing another rant from Sean about how much he doesn't like the NBA.
I had the Nuggets as a free pick yesterday, so it won. So I'm not gonna say nothing bad. Nothing but winners. Nothing but action.
I mean, we did an NBA segment yesterday, me and Jesse, and Jesse was correct. He's, at 9:00 in the morning, Fox Sheets had both Anthony Davis and LeBron James listed as out. And then around noon, Jesse texts me and he says, hey, the latest report is LeBron's going to play. And that's why the line moved from 3 to 1.5. Made sense. And I said, well, there's no way Anthony Davis is going to play because the line hasn't moved any further. And sure enough, he played. And you know what? I still almost came out on top because I had the Knicks on the money line. They lose the game in overtime. It is what it is. That's the NBA. It's like I like to call it, a wealth of misinformation from the NBA. Anyway, Sean, Jesse, you could find Jesse over at jesseschul.com. You could find Sean at picksandparleys.net. Sean, I didn't get to formally introduce you, but how are you, my friend?
I'm all right, doing okay.
That's it.
We got college basketball. How about World Baseball Classic? I talked about and a little midday money. Grab that DR team at any plus kind of money. Go look at that team.
Yeah, the last time I bet on the DR, they lost to the Netherlands, and it cost me a lot of money. So
they are plus offshore. They were plus like in the 4s. They were like 2-something here in the States.
You know how long ago that was? Kenley Jansen was the catcher for the Netherlands, and then the Dodgers made him into one of the top relievers in baseball for a long time. So in any event, I just thought I'd throw that out there. So gentlemen, any topics of conversation we want to discuss? I know Sean Payton gets hired by the Denver Broncos, certainly an upgrade over Nathaniel Hackett, who I predicted would be a disaster last year, and he was. And I don't know, again, the future odds for Denver just plummeted down, meaning not as long as they were before Peyton. But you know what? Peyton he's a great coach. But Jesse, could he really make a difference that much for a team that is mediocre at best? And I'm being kind.
Russell Wilson looks unfixable to me at the moment. And I'm a Seattle guy. I had Seattle in the Super Bowl win when they beat Denver. I'm from the Pacific Northwest, so pay close attention to Seattle. Loved Russell Wilson at Seattle, but he just doesn't look like the same guy. He looks like he wants to be in Hollywood with his musician wife and A-list celebrities, big wheel trucks and jet skis and wearing his own jersey. I mean, he just looks like he's in a different world compared to where he was 5-6 years ago.
Sean, I know you're chomping at the bit to comment on this, so I'll let you go.
I just love his little commercials where he's like eating the Subway or whatever. He's like, yeah, let's ride Bronco Country. Like, I mean, listen, why would he go? I can't believe he went there. One, I can't believe Denver gave up a number 1 draft pick for him to pay a guy $20 million a year.
And it's second round. Help in the second round the following year. Right?
I mean, yes. I mean, and then you gave away all your draft picks anyway for Russell Wilson. And you're the 3rd best team. And you're the 3rd best team in your own in your own division. Like, I'll put the Chargers. As bad as the Chargers coach is, they're still a better team than Denver.
Oh yeah.
And maybe the Raiders might actually be better. Who knows what goes on over there? They're a wild. I can't believe it. It's
yeah.
I got nothing to say
Sean,
about that. Why are you going there? Burrow, Mahomes, Allen, Herbert. You have such better a bigger fight to get to the top of the food chain than you do in the NFC. So who's that team? I mean, okay, the Eagles are good, but I mean, you think the Niners, maybe if they get some kind of quarterback play, who knows? We've seen their coach, they win during it. Who else? Aaron Rodgers at the tail end of his career. Who's the team? Dallas? Philly? Who? Minnesota? What other team you got to beat there?
Yeah.
Where are the Rams? You're scared about the Rams at that team? Why? How do you? I get 20 million's a nice thing.
I'm sorry, but why are we talking NFC now? As opposed
because why did he go to Denver as opposed to he could have took a go to Arizona? First I thought he'd be, if he's anywhere, I thought he'd be with the Chargers, but those guys kept their coach. I mean, that's
again, I think some of the part of the reason might be what New Orleans was demanding in the trade. I mean, there's got to be some franchises that said, look, a head coach is not worth the assets that you're asking me for. And that leads me to this, and I'll ask both of you guys, you could comment if you wish. If not, we can move on to the next topic. But if you're going to give up a number 1 this year and a number 2 this year, or next year, excuse me, to bring in a head coach like the caliber of Sean Payton, you got to think Denver's ownership and pay him a record amount from all the reports that have come out. He's getting paid probably going to be
20 mil, I thought.
Yeah, he's going to be the top paid head coach in the NFL. Now, don't quote me on this. If he's not the top, he's near there. You would think, based on what they gave up asset-wise and what they're paying out to this guy, that they're going to need to spend in free agency. They're going to need to hit the draft and bring in some good players. And when you lose your number 1 choice, number 1 draft choice because of this, I would think that they're going to spend a ton of money in free agency. I would be shocked if they don't, because if any casual NFL observer, in my opinion, that looks at Denver and how they performed last year, especially offensively, knows this team needs an overhaul. Just your thoughts.
It was probably part of the deal to bring him in. I mean, he probably never would have agreed to come there if they didn't promise him some free agent spending in the offseason. But I mean, if you think about it, when does this ever work out, really? I mean, I'm sure we can all think of 3 examples where it didn't work out for everyone when it does, when you spend a bunch of money and you make a move to bring in this great coach. And, I mean, Sean Payton was a great coach with the Saints few years ago, but it's been a while. Is he still the same guy? He's a little older. The league's changed a bit. I'm not certain.
Did Russell Wilson fall off the cliff, Sean?
That's the thing. Was he hurt? Was it just Hackett being terrible? I mean, we saw Geno come into that offense and break all of Russell Wilson's records. So what happened? Like, he's got some talent up there. But I think part of it, he wasn't healthy. The coach didn't know what he's doing. He was way over his head. But could he be turning into a Matt Ryan or Wentz or Brady, stepping back and getting old and just wear and tear on the guy's body?
Well, and again, the skill position offensive players in Denver,
they got some decent wide receivers. They got guys that I like.
Yeah, but they don't have DK Metcalf or Tyler Lockett. To me, those 2 guys are far above what anything that Denver has. And I think. Yeah,
but isn't the quarterback supposed to elevate play guys? I mean, I don't know. Tom Brady just retired. What great receivers did this guy have on his team? I mean, Ben Coates. I mean, come on. He had Randy Moss the 1 year. How about all the other years?
Yeah.
They didn't draft. The whole joke was that they never drafted anybody on offense for the guy, and he still won. Like, Aaron Rodgers wants to win. I had nobody.
And Wilson had some good years in Seattle with Doug Baldwin and Golden Tate, and sort of a riff-raff.
Yes. So what happened here? Was it a combination of
all
bad
upstairs?
Coaching?
I think it's all upstairs for him.
Nathaniel Hackett was in over his head. I said that before the season started. I'm telling you, the guy was here in Buffalo as an offensive coordinator, and he was a bonehead. Okay. And It's not like he walked into an offense that's loaded with talent. Again, I would have to respectfully disagree with anybody who opposes that opinion because, look, you look at their wide receiver roster and it's young. It's got a lot of potential, but potential is only a word unless you start producing after a while. So we'll see.
I agree.
Again, I think that Pete Carroll, give him a lot of credit.
Yeah.
He said, I want to run the football more. And based on what we're paying Russell Wilson, it forces me out of my comfort zone. They make the playoffs. Russell Wilson goes to Denver, and the rest is we don't have to discuss. Because
and Payton's getting 17. It says here 17 to 20 million.
Wow,
between that firm. I mean, that's crazy. Yeah, and they still got to pay. They got to pay $12 million to Hackett for another 4 years.
That's insane. And we're talking about a head coach who's won one Super Bowl. That's it.
Oh, and funny, real fast, and then I'll let you guys finish up. So I just saw that because I was looking for Payton's salary. It says he might bring in Vic Fangio for his defense coordinator, which I like. He's a defensive guy. Like some guys should just stick to one side of the ball. Like he was head coaching wise, he didn't do a good job. Defensive wise, I think that's a nice little hire for them if they bring him.
Yeah, he's also he's also associated with the Miami job too. Vic Fangio.
Yeah, but he was in Denver. Maybe he'll stay there because he's got more ties there. And you mentioned Payton, and I'm sure Jesse, you probably saw it too. Did you see him and Mike McCarthy side by side stats? Like 1 Super Bowl, 1-3 in championship games, like 161 and 110 losses. They have the identical, basically records with Drew Brees and Aaron Rodgers. You know, like
I think I did say about Mike McCarthy that if you watch Scooby-Doo and they pull the mask off at the end, I'm expecting Mike McCarthy to pull the mask off and it's Jason Garrett underneath.
Like, I mean, really, I didn't like that. I'm a Cowboy guy. I didn't like him. That's a terrible hire. I'm a guy who wanted Mike Shanahan way back in the day when they got rid of what's his name, Parcells. Then I could come back be a Dallas fan because I couldn't be a fan when they had Parcells as coach. But
all right, enough in the NFL. Let's get on to our college basketball picks again.
No, wait, we got conference tournaments coming up on the 28th of February. We got Horizon League, Sun Belt, Patriot League. No, we're not talking college basketball tournaments yet for March.
No, not yet.
No, all right,
not yet, buddy. we only got 40 minutes here. You could discuss that on your midday money show, which is a good one, folks. If you go to
you should hear some of the things he discusses on midday money. He was on fire yesterday.
Yeah, when you let him where he could just talk himself, you don't know what's going to happen because you could see how
it's pretty tame. It's all right. We cover a lot.
No, it is. It's a great show. Yeah, and he's doing what other people have not done. And it's working, and I enjoy it. I've listened to him a few times. He gets a lot of audience participation. So midday money. That's on picksandparleys.net homepage. You could also get it on picksandparleys.net, their YouTube channel, and he's on all kinds of Spotify and iHeartRadio and all those big wig companies.
I'm a
big wig kind of guy, you know. So anyway, and
a big wig. It's all free content, everybody. So don't cost you anything. You just not getting anything out of that.
Yeah, but you give out a lot of great information there, like we do on this show. So anyway, all right, let's get to the games because I know yesterday when me and Jesse talked a little bit, some guy jumped in and says, I don't care about the NFL. Get to the games already. Well, folks, let me just rehash this. This is a podcast. If you want a 2-minute, no-brainer free pick video, this is not the channel, okay? This is a sports betting podcast. And rather than, we want to give you free winners, but at the end of the day, we also want you to take away from the topics of discussion. We hope that you're a smarter sports bettor today than you were yesterday by listening to us. And
it's not just 3 guys just saying, hey, take so-and-so today. We know what we're talking about. We've been around the block a few times.
Exactly. Exactly. Anyway. All right, Jesse, start us off, buddy, with again, I really think this is an underrated game tonight, New Mexico and Utah State. People better wake up to the fact that the Mountain West Conference is pretty damn good.
Yes.
And you'd be hard pressed to leave these 2 teams out of the NCAA tournament right now. That's New Mexico and Utah State. Jesse, I got Utah State minus 4.5 and 156. tell us what you have.
Well, Ross, you're right. I think it is going to be a great game. Of course, New Mexico was the last undefeated team in the country. They got off to a 14-0 start. They still just lost 3 games since then. And only one of those 3 losses came by more than 4 points. They're getting 4.5 here at Utah State, but history favors the home team here. They've lost 5 straight and 8 of 10 head-to-head against the Aggies. Aggies a really strong home team, 10-1 record at home. But, and it's a big but, the Aggies' last 2 home games, they won by a combined 5 points. They beat San Jose State by just 1, UNLV by 4. Utah State just 1-5 against the spread in their last 6 home games versus a team with a winning record. I think New Mexico is the better team here. I often like to bet inferior home teams with the home court advantage. It's a little bit too much points for me here. I think 4.5 is a big number, given that New Mexico is the better team, and I think the Utah State Aggies have had trouble blowing teams out on their home court recently, so I'll take the points.
So Jesse likes New Mexico plus the 4.5 on the road at Utah State, and they've traditionally had a really strong home court. And Jesse just touched upon that, 10-1 this year, but a couple close down to the wire wins in their last 2 at home. And boy, this game has all the makings of one that goes right down to the final seconds, but we'll see what happens. But Jesse says take the points with New Mexico plus 4.5. Sean, you have any comments on that particular game?
Yeah, 2 equal teams, I think, right? Pretty competitive. And real fast though, I hope that we see if the top of the Mount West stays pretty good, I hope we get like 4 or 5 teams out of Mount West instead of like that 7th and 8th team down in like the Big 10 and or Big 12 is one thing. Big 12 is really good, but I mean, I hate getting those bottom tier teams. Give me solid mid majors who are going to come in there with that little peppy fight duel. That's Anyway. So I see Utah with 5 straight wins over New Mexico in this matchup. So last time was a big blowout. New Mexico's last game out, kind of like a whole home win over Air Force. Maybe they're, ready for this spot. I'm getting 4.5. You said I'll take the points here with this New Mexico. I think it's gonna come down to last shot, maybe a little.
Rick Pitino.
I don't want to say overtime because that's where our dogs go to die. But I'm with Jesse on the points here for sure.
Yeah, Rick Pitino Jr. has done a nice job in his first year at New Mexico. He did so at Minnesota too when he first arrived, and then he wore out his welcome, and Minnesota sort of slid back into mediocrity. We'll see if he can keep up the pace here.
Well, he brought that kid over from Minnesota. It was a Mashburn and was at Minnesota with him, I think. And even, I don't know if House was there, but I know Mashburn.
They're definitely a much more entertaining team to watch, and they're much better, no doubt about it. And we'll see. That looks like a great matchup to me, and I sort of agree with Jesse as well on New Mexico. No, I do agree with Jesse. All right, and Tennessee at Florida. Sean, this is a good one. I mean, Tennessee right now is a 5.5 point road favorite to total 132.5. Can Florida stay in this game, Sean? Because I mean, look, Florida, their previous game, they only scored 50 against a Big 12 conference opponent.
Yep.
A good one at that. But now they're playing arguably the best defensive team in all of college basketball.
Yeah. So the K-State game, down 37-16 at the half, 16 points.
Yeah.
And then you're playing Tennessee. I think they're number 1 in defensive efficiency there with field goal percentage at 34% and 3-point shooting, even like 20% shooting, something like that. I mean, they've won 9 of 10, Tennessee, 54 points a game. I don't want to lay the 5.5 here, especially when I see Tennessee creeping up the ranking. People go back, wow, this is an easy win. They're 18-3. The other team is 12-10 or whatever heck they are, So I'm going to look at the under 132 here. Florida's got a new head coach, Rick Barnes. Again, he's off a nice win. He's 8-2 versus Florida since he's come to Tennessee. So you want to lay the 5.5? I'm not going to say no to that. I mean, they're a much better team. Florida's, again, new coach. They're trying to work in new players, get a little system going there. I don't know. They have one good player. Defensively, they're pretty solid. I'm going to lean under 132. I mean, Tennessee's going to score about 70-ish.
Yeah.
But is Florida going to crack the 60 mark?
I don't think
so.
Get to 60. I think another thing to look at is the Florida team total going under. Based on what you're saying too, and I agree. I mean, Jesse,
65, 55, something along those lines. I like the under stood out to me here. Just based on the Tennessee defense.
If I'm going to play this game, it's going to be the Tennessee team total, or excuse me, the Florida team total to go under. Florida's not a bad defensive team. Some of that is good defense. Some of it is the slow pace in which they play at. Jesse, any opinion on this particular matchup?
Yeah. I look at this Florida team. I looked at them earlier in the year and didn't expect them to be as good as they've been. 5-3 in the SEC. If you look at their 3 losses, 2 losses to Texas A&M by a combined 5 points. And Texas A&M, I think, is in the top 3 in the SEC right now. And then they lost to Auburn by just 3 points on the road. Auburn also right up there in the SEC. So, I mean, they look like a scrappy dog. I know Tennessee is one of the best teams in the country. I like what you guys are saying about the under. Tennessee doesn't give up any points, but I certainly wouldn't be laying the 5 or 5.5 in this game.
Yeah, I mean, again, I hate laying points on the road to start with. There are some exceptions to the rule, but laying 5.5 here, it just looks like an obvious play to Tennessee. And I'm sure that Tennessee, I haven't looked at the splits in terms of the volume of bets that have been made against the amount of money that's been bet on either team, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say Tennessee is going to get the majority of both in this contest. There'll be a public side, and they very well may cover, like Sean said, but I'm not willing to.
I don't think it's. I mean, again, you're off a big win, right? He beats his old team. They have Auburn on deck at home, right? Yeah. That's a little bigger matchup, and then you have a middling kind of Florida team.
Yep.
I'm not. Yeah, give me the under, because Florida could. 16 points in the first half. You're maybe they start out a little better. I don't know. So defensively, it's under or nothing really.
Tennessee, Florida under 132.5 for Sean Higgs, and Jesse is on New Mexico plus the 4.5 at Utah State. I'm going to take a look at the Providence and Xavier game and try to make it as quick as possible, folks, because we're sort of pressed for time. This is an Xavier team that likes to play ultra fast. This is an Xavier team that could absolutely score the basketball. They've scored 78 or more points in 10 of their 11 at home. They're number 7 in offensive efficiency, according to KenPom. And how they measure that is points per 100 offensive possessions. And they score 119.1 per 100 offensive possessions. Also number 18 in tempo. Averaging 71.8 offensive possessions per 40 minutes. That's really, really fast. They're number 5 in 3-point offense, meaning Xavier at 39.8%. They make their 3-point attempts. And also the flip side of that is they're number 297 defending the 3. So they give up points as well. As a matter of fact, this is an Xavier team in conference play that's averaging over 83 points per game, but they're also giving up around 79 points per game in conference play. Now, Providence is a team, if you look at their history this year and their logs, this is a team that could adapt to any style. If you want to go fast, they're willing to play that game. If you want to slow it down, they will. They can do that as well. They're a very underrated team in my estimation. Now, whether they're better than Xavier, I don't know. Over the long haul, probably not, but it's not like there's a big disparity between these two teams in terms of talent and production. Also, Xavier 11-4 over the total this year when facing a winning team. 11-4 over the total this year as a favorite. And folks, their totals are mostly in the high 150s and low 160s all season long. And they're coming off a loss in they're 8-0 over the total this year. After a loss, 8-0 over the total off an ATS loss since 2020 with an average of 168.4 points scored per game. And like I said, with Providence, they're very underrated. They average close to 77 points per game in conference play as well. I'm going to take this game, Providence and Xavier, over 153.5. Jesse, your thoughts?
Well, I was looking at this and I see that Providence is 5-0 against the spread in the last 5 head-to-head matches. Close games. The last one went to overtime. Providence won it in overtime. Prior to that, Providence won by 3. Providence by 13, and Xavier won by 1. So expecting a close game. Overtime is a possibility. You can never bank on overtime, but yeah, I think this one goes down to the wire. I like your call on the over. That's the way I see it playing out.
Sean, Xavier, really strong home court traditionally over the years. This year being no exception, but does them just being a 4-point favorite in this spot raise some eyebrows?
Because it does, because just Providence is like a scrappy. I mean, we talked about Florida being kind of scrappy, right? They're hanging around teams. These guys actually pull out wins. They got 17 of them. Like, they're actually winning some of these games. I like the dog, but I also see Xavier. You know, you're coming off a game you scored what, 50-something points last game they scored against 67, 84-67. You got smashed by Creighton.
Yeah.
So obviously you're going to come home. You're going to want to improve off that, right? They should cover this number, right? I mean, it's one of those. Sometimes I don't want to say it's too good because I like Xavier, but the Providence is just, they seem to win these. I don't know. I mean, I'm gonna have to ride the over with you. I can't. I want to take Providence, but my other side of brain saying, no. When I like, you know, in college, any sport really, team gets embarrassed. You take a 17-point loss. You give up 85 points. That's a lot in college, right? We talk about the ones, you know, those are big numbers. You start college totals 150, 160. You give up that amount, you know, you're going to come out and be like, we got to D up here and do our thing. And I'm leaning on the X-Men. Let's go, Xavier. Let's go. I've talked myself into Xavier.
All right. So, yeah, I mean, Ed Cooley's done a terrific job since he's taken over at Providence, and, you know, one of the most underrated programs, not only in the Big East, but in the country. And we'll see what happens. 3 really good games. And to review, Jesse likes New Mexico plus 4.5 at Utah State. Sean likes the Tennessee and Florida game to go under the total of 132.5. And myself, I like the Providence Xavier game to go over 153.5. Let's go 3-0, boys. All right, real quick, guys. Jesse, tell the folks where they find you, as well as how you've been doing and what may be coming up.
Well, thank you, Ross. You can follow me on Twitter at Jesse Schewel. You can check out my website, jesseschewel.com. And good January for me, off and running in 2023, 50-26 overall. Sean's rolling his eyes thinking that's 3 days for me. But that's 65%. I'll take it. 65% for a month, 17,000 units. That'll get the job done for me.
Higgs.
Well, yeah, I'm definitely not 15-26 in January. Definitely, you're crushing me. Slow January. My college basketball's in so. It happens. You got to adjust. You know, what am I going to do? I can't win them all. Find, Midday Money every day. You can find it all over YouTube. Just Google it. You can find it. Podcast channels. Mr. Sean Higgs on Twitter, and site-wise, I'm on here with these guys on Sports Capping. Picks and parlays, winning free picks, wherever. Come say hello. Always something going on. We got NFL. I'm sure next week we'll have a lot of NFL talk, right? We'll probably have a prop show, a side show, a totals, everything.
We're all 3 of us are on picksandparlays.net, and also all 3 on sportscapping.com. Me and Jesse over at sportsmemo.com. You could find me as well at my own website, which I would prefer you did, at rossbenjaminsports.com, rbwins.com, whatever you prefer. Coming off a nice college basketball 10-star top play winner last night, as I had Maryland minus 2.5, and they win by 11 over Indiana. That makes me 104-77 with my last 181 college basketball 10-star top plays. That's around 58%. And my dime players during that course of time on those specific plays, up $19,430. My NBA on a 15-8 run since December 26th. You can see 23 plays over the last month. That's how selective I am with the NBA, and I don't want to get Higgs started on that topic. And then my college basketball, 20-15 since November 17th or something like that. Since December 27th. And around 57% on the season, off a 1-3 night. Again, being transparent, folks, but I did hit that big play that ate up a lot of those 3 losses. So until the next time, for Jesse Shule of jesseshule.com and Sean Higgs of picksandparleys.net and Ross Benjamin of rbwins.com, we'd like to wish each and every one of you all the very best. Take care and God bless, folks.